We welcome you back to CBS Mornings. Republican presidential candidate Chris Christie says the various investigations and indictments against former President Trump show he cannot be the party's candidate. Christie, as you know, is a former federal prosecutor and former New Jersey governor and previously supported Donald Trump. But now he says one of the only reasons that the former president is running is to, quote, get away with significant crimes against the country. Chris Christie joins us now at the table to discuss. Welcome back. It's always good to have you here. When Will Hurd said something similar to that, he got booed. So what is your game plan here? How do you reach the people that believe, listen, this is all just a smokescreen that Donald Trump is saying just to prevent him from getting elected? You said, why didn't they try this 2 years ago?
Well, look, Gayle, you and I have known each other for a long time. If I changed my opinions based upon being booed, I would have no opinions left. I mean, I was a Republican in New Jersey, and so you have to know what you believe in your heart, and you got to go and make the argument. Leaders don't follow polls.
Yeah, I'm not saying that booing scares you, but people say this is not a winning argument. This is not a winning argument.
Look, I say this. New Manhattan Institute poll came out in New Hampshire this weekend. Has Donald Trump down to 34%, Ron DeSantis at 13%, me at 11%. We are moving in different directions, Donald Trump and I. In 2 months, I've gone from 0 to 11. In a month and a half, he's gone in New Hampshire from 48 to 34. And that means that 2/3 of the Republican voters in New Hampshire, as polled right now, don't want him.
That's one state, however, right?
Big state, important state.
And I know you want to focus on New Hampshire. It is an important state, but the national polls suggest he is still doing quite well, even with the indictments. In fact, they seem to be helping him in some ways, particularly with fundraising. You're fundraising a fraction of what he is, and that has an impact on what you can do campaign-wise with advertisements, with door knocks, with get out the vote.
Yeah, except that he's spending all of his money on legal fees. I'm not. I'm going to actually spend my money on campaigning. We know from the reports that just came out that he spent $40 million just the last quarter on legal fees, and that was before 2 more indictments came out. Look, he can't sustain it, and he's ripping people off. I mean, this is a grift. $108,000 for Melania's stylist in the campaign money he spent. It's called the political strategy consulting. All right, people are going to stop giving him that money. And as far as national polls go, if we had a national primary, I'd be really concerned, but we don't. We have one state at a time, and we're going to compete hard in those states, and we're doing well to go in 2 months. We announced 2 months ago today, and we are now a clear third place statistically and second in New Hampshire. In 2 months, Ron DeSantis has been running since 2021.
Yeah, but Governor, even if you were to get over Donald Trump or past Donald Trump, you've got Ron DeSantis. He's running a culture war campaign in many ways, right? Anti-woke, taking on this idea that Democrats have hijacked the media and business, et cetera. You don't seem to be in that fight in anything like the same way. Why not?
It's going really well for him, isn't it? That campaign is really taking off, really getting altitude. The guy is descending quickly. And I think it's because the American people look at this, and it's not that they're not bothered by some of these things. I want parents to be in control of their children's education. I don't want schools to be keeping parents out of if their children have issues about gender, if their children have those kind of issues, concerns, discussions. They shouldn't be keeping that from parents, and they shouldn't be running those decisions. Parents should. But is it a more important issue than whether people can pay for groceries and pay for the things to heat their home and to run their cars? Is it a more important issue than what's going on in Ukraine right now and what that'll mean for the entire world? Is it a more important issue than the fact that our children's education, reading scores, 1/3 of the kids in this country don't read at grade level of the entire country?
All fair, but I really don't see how you win Republican primaries without going further to the right on some of these culture issues.
Well, watch and I'll show you.
Okay.
Okay, so look, and the bottom line is that you have to be who you are. The truth matters. It matters. And we're now in a country where the truth is negotiable. And that's not where we need to be, and that's why we're in this
Speaking of
problem.
that truth, our poll showed that nearly 70% of Republicans don't believe that Biden legitimately won in 2020. So how do you run a campaign when your potential voters don't trust the system that you are running in?
Well, I think that's moving too, Nate, because people will continue to maintain that opinion, but I don't think it's going to affect what they do this time, right? And what I mean is, you even look at Ron DeSantis yesterday for the first time admitted that Joe Biden is the legitimate president and Donald Trump lost.
Took a while to get him there, though.
Well, but that's my point, right? In response to your statement, he's now moving in a different direction. Why? Because it's the truth, and because when he goes out there and tries to sell the fact, Ron DeSantis.
Is that too little, too late, though?
No, because heck, Nate, it's August. That's like saying that, any of the NFL teams that are in training camp right now, whatever they do, it's too little, too late. And hell, man, it's not too little, too late till December or January.
I hear what you're
right?
saying.
And so
I'm picking up what you're
By the way, for the Mets, who I'm a board member of, it is now too little, too late.
I was going to say.
That's official, so we can go there.
Selling
It's too little, too late there.
Governor, I'm so fascinated. You have someone who is a clear front runner. He's got 3 indictments. He's essentially sort of out on bail, if you will.
Not essentially. He's out on bail with restrictions in 3 jurisdictions, and it's going to be 4 before we get on the debate stage in 2 weeks.
And he is the front-running candidate. So whether, his lawyer says it's a matter of free speech, it's political speech. I wish you would define political speech. But I mean, even if you take all the illegal versus legal out of it, what about the conduct? I think about, Donald Trump, for some people say, behave in a way that you don't want your children to behave, everything that you teach against your children. Yet he is still the front runner.
Well, that's the point. I think
we can't ignore that.
I think you're making a great point, and the reason I do is because it's the point I'm making every day.
You
and I agree. Is that put aside the legality? I did this for 7 years. I was the U.S. attorney in the 5th largest office in this country.
But you supported him for a long time, Governor.
I did. Look, and I've said that it was a mistake.
Okay.
So we all make mistakes in life, and if you have to admit when you make mistakes, and I made one. But here's the thing: he left me, Gayle. I didn't leave him. He left me. He kept moving further and further into crazy land. And you're right about the legality or illegality. I think the New York indictment is flawed legally. But do we really want to support someone who pays off a porn star to keep her quiet while he's running for president because he had sex with her while he was married to his wife? Do we really want someone who takes classified documents, secrets of the United States, that put people's lives at risk, and keeps them at Mar-a-Lago so he can continue to pretend he's president and continue to show him around to people to act like a big shot? The conduct, the underlying conduct is the problem. I understand that people think there's 2 tiers of justice, but I will say this. They were wrong to not indict Hillary Clinton, in my view, and I said so at the time. And it has now set up this excuse for Donald Trump, but I'm not going to let him get away with it.
Yeah.
What he did is wrong. Whether it is illegal or not, it is morally wrong what he's done, especially January 6th.
Yeah. All right. And bottom line, you will never be to the right of Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis as you see it.
Not on the issues you're talking about, but let me say this. I'm going to be tougher with them on a lot of other issues, and I'm tougher on Ukraine and on China than either of them will ever be. And after having gone to Ukraine this week,
yeah, you just went.
The atrocities are breathtaking. 20,000 children, guys, kidnapped. Sent to Russia to be reprogrammed. Those parents don't know whether their children are alive or dead.
Why did you go there? People could say, look at him. It's a photo op for Chris Christie. Why did you go?
Wow. Listen, 60 hours of traveling for 11 hours on the ground, that's a pretty expensive photo op.
Say, into a war zone.
In the end, Gayle, I went because if you're going to be the American president who decides how to conduct our relationships with Ukraine from there, you need to look Volodymyr Zelenskyy in the eye, which I did, and you need to go to places like Bucha, where there's 160 people in a shallow grave that were executed by barbaric Russian soldiers. Nate, this is the guy, Vladimir Putin, who's doing this, that Donald Trump calls an excellent leader and brilliant.
Yeah.
We're very different people, and I'll be a very different president.
All right. Governor Christie, thank you very much for being here.
I love being with you guys.
Thank you for acknowledging the Mets season is over,
Yes,
unfortunately.
it is. Unfortunately,
2024, maybe 2025 is our year.
You got it. We're ready.
We'll be back soon.